Hi, everyone. We are so excited to have Mike and Deb Durnin of EKB World Ministries joining us for this special podcast. And there's a reason we are going to be doing this now. But Mike and Deb, welcome to the Maximize You podcast. We're so happy that you all joined. And to begin with, I'd love for you all to talk a little about EKB Ministries and what it is and exactly what prompted you to start it and some of the positive ways you all are impacting human life. So over to you both.
Well, thank you for having us. I can kind of start it off. In 2015, we thought we were going on a vacation to the Philippines. We've had a heart for ministry. We have a heart for pastors. We had to take a break from the mission field for a while, and we were ready to get back in. And the Philippines just happened to be next on the list. And we got there and standing on a hilltop, looking out at the ocean and just taking in what God had, this beautiful place and this perfect moment, and felt someone come up behind me and lean in, and in my ear, I heard "Welcome home." To my surprise, I turn around and I am standing all alone. And again, "Welcome home." And so I just knew it was God was calling us to that place. And so before we left, before we left the island, we had written out a small contract on the back of a scratch paper, and it just kind of went from there.
And, the amazing thing is you can talk about those situations where one thing after another happens, where if you had any doubt that this was orchestrated by a gracious God, all doubt is left aside. And if we had all day, I could share 100 stories with you. But just in a nutshell, I went back in 1 month, what I thought was going to be a 5-year timeline to transition my dental practice into full-time ministry. And it happened in a month, which is simply unheard of. And, Deb and I just kept looking at each other and saying, "Okay, God, we're not sure what you got in mind, but we're on board." And so we came to the Philippines. You want to share a little bit about John and the development of our early programs?
Yeah, so soon after we made the decision, we've got information saying that if you're building, it's good to have someone there on site overseeing the dailies. And we had invited friends of ours, Jan and John Porter, who used to be our neighbors when we lived in North Idaho. And they had a contracting company in years past, among many other things. And we invited them to oversee this project. And they agreed in the short story version. And John has a passion for music. And he, not long after we got settled, he wanted to teach ukulele to the kids at the church across the street from us where we were renting while we built. And he started out with 3 kids and started teaching them. And there is a program on the island called Jesus Reigns. It happens every year. And it's different churches from around the island get together, and they do worship music or a small sermon from the pastor or a dance routine from the youth group or something. So John took those 3 kids that have now grown into 27, took them, had them on stage, performed a couple of songs, and it was like God lit the room on fire. And it turned over the next 3 years. The second year, they had 250 kids on stage. The third year, they had 500 kids on stage performing Christian ukulele music, which we believe to this point is the largest gathering of Christian ukulele players.
Wow.
And you have to see that video because it's to this day, it still brings up the hair on the back of my neck. It was just so powerful. But the amazing thing about it is that it was not just 500 kids, but it represented 10 to 15 different churches, at least 5 or 6 denominations of Christianity. And what evolved from that, interestingly enough, is we got to work and know the pastors. They asked us to start a Bible study because we started sharing with them the idea of unity and Ephesians 4, coming back together, both in terms of a personal relationship with Jesus Christ, but more importantly, coming back together as the body, the full mature body of Christ. And it just grew. And I think in the last 2 trips, we've met with well over 100 pastors now that are just excited. At least, 10, 20 different churches. And it's exciting to see what God does. It's just amazing. And
Absolutely.
so we are now ready. I'm finishing up a short stint in finishing up my dental career. And we're heading to the Philippines full time in July. And we are so excited.
Yeah, that's so amazing. And MaximizeU is all about maximizing human potentials. But I'm of the firm opinion that human potential without a firm foundation of faith and trust in God and a higher power is like uh, a deck of cards that is going to get blown away with the slightest wind. So this aligns so well with the need of having a firm foundation of faith and trust in in God and a higher power, because we all know there's going to be trials and tribulations. It's not a question of if but when, and it's not a question of how much it's going to be, but it's the trust and the faith and your spiritual maturity that helps you get past those problems, right? And I'm of the firm opinion that God puts people in your life for a reason, right? Like Mike, you and I having met at a Bible study, and now we're kind of working together to spread the kingdom of God, right? It doesn't happen by chance. It is intentional, and there's a plan, and it's God's plan, and it's His timeline. So, love the work you all are doing. Tell the viewers a little about, you know, you have an interesting background. You are a very successful dental surgeon, and now you made the transition to this part of your life. Uh, are there any parallels between what you did previously and what you're doing now, or is it totally different?
Well, I think it's a process of life struggles. The reality for Deb and I is we came from prior marriages. We came together with a blended family and the challenges that face a blended family. And I can tell you without any question in my mind, the thing that stood out more than anything else was when Deb and I first got together, the first thing that came to both of us that is somehow we have got to find a way to bring Christ into the foundation of our marriage, because what we've tried to that point hadn't worked very well, frankly. And I don't know, Deb, you want to share the story about your ring? I'd love this story.
Yeah, so shortly and came up under the floor from under us, and it builds the space in between us so that we were standing arms reached out. And I knew in that moment that it was he and I and the kids, and if we kept Christ as the center of our life, we would be okay. He would keep us intact. And just trying to keep center focused as we could and keep that at the forefront. And so,
and one of the things that's come from that is that in our circle of influence, there as in most of our lives, there are so many couples that are just really struggling and having a hard time with the challenges of marriage and parenting and all of those things. And we were very blessed to come across a program called Prepare and Enrich, which we've both become certified in, that does a phenomenal job of just helping people assess where they are, recognizing their strengths, but also the areas they really need to look at some growth, and then giving them really effective tools to be able to accomplish that. And it has been really powerful for us, and we've just seen tremendous results in the couples that we've been working with. So definitely wanted to share that.
Yeah, that's a great point. And the Prepare and Enrich is an awesome program. Laura and I are going through it ourselves, and again, it is what happens at home impacts all aspects of your life. And right, it's important to have a firm foundation at home as well. And that's amazing. So tell us a little about, you all are positively impacting a lot of different groups with EKB World Ministries and Prepare and Enrich. What's the vision for the organization? What would you like to see happen in terms of the difference you're making?
Well, I'll begin. Basically, what happened in the ukulele ministry is that we found music is this powerful tool that really helps bring people together and cross over borders and denominations. And as we began to work with the pastors, we discovered a number of things. Number one, pastor burnout is a huge problem. It is everywhere, but especially so in the Philippines. And so we have a passion of developing not only a place where pastors can grow spiritually, but where they can renew and have some time to refresh, but also have a support system that's going to allow their ministry in their local congregation to, continue to have support during their absence. So that's one of the things. Deb, you want to talk a little bit about Bible and food distribution?
Yeah, so one of the other things that we came to realize is in the bigger cities, you have access like any other world, any other country, you have access to more resources, but you go out to the more rural areas, you have less funding, you have less resources, you have fewer eyes on situations. And so where we are, we learned that if you don't have a Bible, you're not going to read a Bible. So that was one of our first things, is getting Bibles in a local language that we could distribute. We've been able to find them at a reasonable cost, and we just go into rural churches, and whoever wants a Bible gets a Bible. The other thing that we found is when you're in a rural area and you have less resources, food is an issue. And so trying to support families in whether it's a feeding program where we can bring families in for an afternoon and not only feed their bodies, but spend some time and sharing a story for the children, or doing a Bible study for adults, but just getting people together to not only nourish their bodies, but nourish their souls and create community.
And one of our local pastors here, who has really been a tremendous mentor and motivator for me, had a concept that I just fell in love with, which was putting a resource center together that had the kind of resources for someone who walked in and said, I heard about Jesus today, and I'd like to know more. Or all the way through advanced pastor training. And the cool thing is, and what we found in the Philippines, is we can provide a laptop and a hard drive, and we can bring those resources right to their door. And so they have an opportunity to expand their spiritual foundation. And the whole concept is the idea of spreading the word, the Great Commission. How do we use MaximizeU in a way to really bring that word, bring the incredible understanding of what grace, salvation by grace through faith really means, and because it's a life changer. And
Yeah.
when people begin to experience that, it's amazing. And to see the excitement in these pastors, to know that they're going to have access to that kind of resource. So part of our vision is going to develop not only the center where pastors can come in, but also a tremendous resource center where they can either come in, have access to audiovisual multimedia materials, or we can put them on jump drives and send them out into their communities. So it's just exciting, and the interest has been overwhelming, and so now that we have our nonprofits on both sides, both here and in the Philippines, in fact, we really are setting the footing to be able to really take this to a whole nother level.
Absolutely. And what's very exciting for us is how we are working with you all and leveraging technology and AI and Gen AI and agentic AI to spread the word, to make the spiritual growth and development accessible to people where they are and at whatever stage they're at, right? Everybody's at a different stage and people learn differently and they grow differently. I may be just beginning my walk with Jesus, or I may be a long time Christ follower. It doesn't matter where you are. Everybody has room to improve and grow and develop and mature. And it's so encouraging to see the confluence of technology and all of that. So yeah, I was just saying that, technology and AI can have a major impact on accessibility and democratization of knowledge. And that's what is very exciting for MaximizeU, to be working with EKB World Ministries to enable people to grow spiritually in their faith, in their walk with Christ, and to do it in a way that transcends barriers like geography and cost and access to specialized content and resources. Well, uh, talk a little about how that's working out for you. And Mike, I know we've been sharing about the art of the possible. And yeah.
Well, you have stretched my mind so far at this point that I'm still kind of wrapping my head around it. But the idea that we can bring these kinds of resources to people in their native language and tongue is so powerful. I'm beyond excited from the standpoint that I think it's going to make a massive difference. But also just making people aware. We're living in a world that is completely upside down right now, and people are struggling. People are looking for answers. They're looking for foundation. They're looking for something that they can hold on to, that has meaning and brings some stability and focus to their lives. So I just feel that there's no accidents. I feel God has called us together for an absolute reason, and I'm just still holding my breath, kind of waiting to see what God has got laid out for us.
Yeah, absolutely. And Deb, what are your thoughts about this? Some people think that, oh, no, we're a faith-based organization. We don't want to get involved with technology and AI and all this, hocus pocus and this fugazi, right? Like Matthew McConaughey likes to say, it's all a fugazi, but it's really not. It's about the practical application of technology to further your vision and your message. So, what do you feel about that, Deb?
So interesting question is I have been praying for probably 3 years for the yes people. And I don't know who they are. I don't know what their job is, but I know that God knows their part in our story. And for your organization to step up as a yes people and help us take this in a completely different way that we could never have imagined, to be able to reach a wider base of people in so many different ways, in their language, in the technology that's out there now. That's not our forte. Like, we stay up and we can probably keep up with our grandkids on electronics, but the truth is it surpasses us on most days. And to have someone have your team come in and partner with us to help take things to a different level, a different place, in a way that will reach people that we cannot. So
Yeah.
we're grateful for you and your team.
Well, we are so thankful as well. And it's a pleasure for us to partner with you all because, you know, I'm of the firm opinion that if your why is strong enough, the how and the what will come, right?
And to that.
And yeah, and we're very excited about all the possibilities. Now, Deb, tell us a little about your upcoming 1 year anniversary of something amazing that you did. I want everybody to know and recognize that this is a watershed moment, and June 25th. But share with the viewers what and how significant that date is for you.
So June 25th, when we live in the Georgetown area of Texas, and when we moved down here 3 years ago, we, like most families, scouted around for a church. We found one. We left. There were some things I didn't like about it. We wandered around a little bit more. And then Mike said, no, I think we need to go back. We go back, and within a few weeks, we got connected with a small group. And one of our first times in this small group, one of the gentlemen shared with us that he was trying to get on the transplant list. He is a type 1 diabetic since he was young, in his mid 60s at this point, and had found out that he had some other health issues that prevented him from getting on the transplant list. And so he had to deal with those. Well, fast forward a year and a half, and January of last year of 2024, he announced to us at small group one night, I've been cleared, and I have spent a week at the Mayo Clinic in Arizona, and I am officially on the transplant list. And we were so grateful. Like, finally, he gets to take that next step. And we were, he asked for prayers for a donor. And before the night was over, I was like, oh, you can have mine. Like, here's the keys to my car. You can just borrow it, right? You can have mine. No big deal. And we finished up the evening and went about our way. And March, so 2 months later, I am on a girls' trip with my mom and my daughter, laying in the hotel room late at night, and Holy Spirit says to me again, hey, remember that thing? You can have mine. Now's the time. And I said, okay. And I pop open my phone and I immediately Google, how do you donate a kidney? And the first thing I open is the application, which is about 20 pages long. And they ask you every question you could possibly think of, and so many more. And I finish it up, and the next morning I wake up and there are text messages and emails, and it's a week later before I get back home to tell Mike what I've started. And going through this process, I thought there's no way that I could be even remotely considered a potential donor because of several health issues in my family history. But as it progressed, not only was I a potential donor, I was a recommended match. We are almost identically matched. And I got,
She says identical. When you look at the numbers, they are all but identical, which is a lot closer than most familial
testing.
testing. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was uncanny.
That's God's hand right there, right there.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, I got to pick the surgery date, and it just so happened that the date I chose was June 25th of last year. And we went in and yeah, I got to donate my kidney to this gentleman, and just seeing the impact that it's had on him and his family, his quality of life.
Yeah, that's so amazing. And we're going to put that video testimonial in the show notes. And we encourage everybody to watch that. Keep a box of tissues as you watch it, because you're
If
going
you
to
ever
need
want
it.
to get a sense of what the Holy Spirit sounds like,
Yeah, what a
this
powerful video. And Deb,
one's it.
kudos to you. Hats off to you for having done that. I want to ask you, Mike, when Deb for the first time told you, when she came back from her trip, she told you what she started, and what was going on in your mind? And what did you say to her? I'm curious. Because if
Well, I
my
think my
wife,
initial shock was this is a week later. You know, I'm like, okay. But the truth is, and this is, I swear to, for either one of us, there has not been a moment of hesitation, but especially for Deb. You know, and they ask you 1,000 times, 1,000 ways, are you sure you want to do this? And boy, just absolute clarity. And to see, to see the results of that now, you know, this is a good friend, and he gave us a powerful story. Just last week, for the first time, he played 18 holes of golf with one of his best friends from forever. And just the tears that came from just being able to do that. So we just
that is
never
so
know.
powerful. Yeah, that is so powerful. Now, Deb, from a practical standpoint, if other listeners are thinking about this, and to be honest, I didn't know much about it till I saw your video. Does it does it materially affect you in any way not having both your kidneys?
There are a few things you have to consider. Your diet needs to alter a little bit. For the most part, no. For the most part, no. And as a donor, there are programs out there. If you're going to be impacted financially, there are programs out to help you with that. There are programs to help with several different things, and the transplant team will walk you through each of those options. But no, a year later, the hardest part for me was recovering enough so that I didn't have to. My social worker wanted me to take more time off of work. I had surgery on Tuesday, and I was back working on Monday. And I worked from home. So yeah, that was the hardest impact for me.
Well, and the other thing is amazing is both of them, the one kidney is doing 85% of what two kidneys were doing before. And God just has this ability,
Absolutely. It says in the Bible, God loves a cheerful giver.
Yeah.
Right? And you're an exemplary example of a cheerful giver, right? And this is so inspiring. And I want other people to recognize, sometimes we wait and we say, oh, I can't really do anything. You can. We can. Each of us can make a difference. And you're a proof and living example of that. So, yeah, so inspiring. Now, as we get to the end of this conversation, and this is the first of many, but the amazing work you all are doing is going to require funding. And, talk to us a little about how are you all achieving that, and how can maximize you and the audience and the visitors and the viewers and everybody else that gets to hear about you? How can they support you in your mission and what you're trying to do?
Go ahead.
Well, there are a variety of ways. We're on the cusp of finally having the website, really solid now that we have the nonprofit entity well established. So we have a vehicle to manage donations more effectively. Honestly, most of this has been self-funded until relatively recently. But we've also been blessed with people that have stepped up and said, this is too important, this is too powerful, and we want to support you. So the website gives us the great opportunity to do that in a variety of different ways. We're got a number of different goals. We're got a building program that we want to finish up. We're raising money for a van right now. We have people that are donating funds for Bibles. We've distributed close to 1,000 Bibles now. Our goal is to cover the island. But the other thing that's happening is we have probably 5 or 6 of the adjacent or islands that are close to us that have asked us to help them develop the same kind of model. And, just to help, again, particularly these rural churches, they just don't have any resources. So the littlest of things make a huge difference. So we're trying to give people an opportunity to support in any way they can. The most important, without question, is your prayer. We cannot emphasize the significance that we have experienced in terms of the power of prayer. And so we invite everyone to please keep us in your prayer. And if you feel the desire to donate, we want to make that as easy as possible. And that's where, Sal, you've been great in really helping us understand what that looks like and how to make that the easiest for people to participate in.
Absolutely. And we'll continue to do that. Now, how do people get to know more about you all and the wonderful work you're doing? Please share that in terms of where do they reach out to you, and we'll put all that in the show notes as well.
Well, our website is ekb.world. Very simple, easy to remember. You can reach us at either Mike or Deb at ekb.world. And again, the website gives a variety of ways to donate, but you can also find us on LinkedIn, you can find us on Facebook, and you can find us on Instagram. So we've got a lot of experience, a lot of great videos. You've got to see the kids playing the ukuleles, some of our different outreaches. So we'd love to invite you to become part of our family.
Absolutely. I hope everybody is soaking this all in, right? I want you to be able to go back to this podcast. It's going to be on your favorite channels on iTunes, on MaximizeU.life, on EKB.world, and a lot more is going to be coming up. Mike, Deb, I really want to thank you for your time, the amazing work you're doing. Any last words of wisdom you'd like to share with the audience before we sign off?
I'm going to hand that over to my prayer warrior.
Like Mike said, prayers are always greatly appreciated, absolutely needed. We are still praying for the rest of our yes people. We need an architect. We have land that we want to build on. We have a vision for the pastor retreat, which will also work as a short-term missions facility, the resource library, the ukulele outreach, Bibles and food and VBS. We just have a heart for those who love Jesus and for those who don't know Jesus, and partnering together to just share the love of Christ.
Absolutely. Yeah. And what a great way to end this. Folks, if anybody's interested and they're listening, ekb.world is the website. please check it out. Reach out directly to Mike or Deb at mike@ekb.world, deb@ekb.world. If you want to get a hold of us, send me an email at coach@maximizeu.life. We want to rally behind the amazing work that Mike and Deb are doing to make a difference, to unify people in this world of division, and to focus on Jesus.
The one thing that I would share, and what we've found with pastors, is that when you keep your focus here, everything here tends to dissipate. The enemy is going to do everything in his power to keep you here. And all you have to do is step out and say, no, my focus is on Jesus. And
Absolutely.
the answers come. The answers come.
Most definitely. Well, thank you again so much for your time. The recording will be available, and I am now going to pause the recording. So
God bless.
hang on here 1 second. There we go. So.